A very good morning, children. Hope you have understood the diversity in the plants which we discussed in the last session. So now, today we are going to discuss about the diversity in the animals. So, shall we go into the topic? Okay. Okay, children, we'll go ahead with the activity 5. In the activity 5, what we are going to do is we are going to collect some insects from our surroundings, because we have to see the diversity in the animals, right? So the better which we can get in our immediate surroundings are the insects, right? So you cannot bring a dog or a cat, okay, and observe the characters, no. So that's the reason why we are trying to get some insects, like no so you can choose the insects, like no whatever the insects which are present in our surroundings, which we can easily get, like no cockroach, ant, mosquito, dung beetle, housefly, butterfly, spider. So what are the insects which you are able to get in your immediate surroundings and all? You can collect them. Okay, now to do this activity we need a nice magnifying glass which can magnify the object better. So you also take the magnifying glass, and now you observe the body parts of all the insects. So after you observe the body parts of the insects and all, no, like, so then we have a small table which is given. So what you have to do is you have to fill all those things in this table, right? So the first one is you write the name of the insect which you are observing. Secondly, you write the how many legs does it have, right? How many legs does it have? Basically they will have 3 pairs of legs, right? And that too, what you can find is all these legs are joint legs, because they belong to the phylum called as Arthropoda. Arthro in the sense joint, poda in the sense legs. So they belong to the phylum called as Arthropoda, and they have the joint legs, and basically they are 6 in number. And in spider you can see 8, but whereas in other insects and all, like, you can see 6 legs. Okay, and then coming to the number of wings, so you can easily count the number of wings. So they will vary, right? They will vary. So in some there will be 2, in some there will be 4, and in some there will be 2 pairs, that is you can find 4 wings, and also like this they will vary in the wings also. Okay, and now coming to the shape of the body, right? Some will be in oval shape, okay, some will be in the rectangular shape, some will be in the triangle shape, okay, some they doesn't have a shape, it is completely rough, like, okay. And then coming to the size, so you can take a small scale, or even which has the centimeters and all, okay, even millimeters. So with that scale and all, you can measure the organism and you can find the size of that particular organism. And now coming to the body parts. So basically when you come to the body parts and all, no, like, basically insects will have the head region, okay, that's the first thing, is the head region, and then they have the thorax region, and then they'll have the abdomen region. Okay, so head, thorax, abdomen region, and on the abdomen region you can find the segments. Okay, you can find the segments like this. So now you can also find the legs which are joined. Okay, so that is how you can see the different body parts of the organism, whether the insects have the same 3 parts or are they different in structure. That is what you can see. Okay, when you compare the body parts and all, you can find the segments. Okay, you can find the 3 divisions, that is head, thorax, and the abdomen regions. Okay, and the last one is the other characters. So if you are able to check the mouth parts, okay, you can find some other characters. Okay, if you take the housefly, the mouth has some spongy parts, because it has to absorb the food. Which is in the form of the liquid. Okay, and if you see the mosquito and the butterfly and all, they have the proboscis, right? So through which they can suck the nectar. So the mouth has the parts which will help them in the sucking and all. So like this, each and every organism, right? And even if you take the ant also, they'll have some nice chewable parts, right? They can easily chew the food, they can masticate the food. Okay, like this, each and every organism will have different kinds of parts in them, and also their functions are different, the size is different, okay, their color is different, their functions are different, okay, and their shape is different, their body parts. When you come to the body parts, it's maximum similar. That is if you take the insects and all, like the similarity is their body parts are very much similar. Like they'll have the head, they have the thorax, and they have the abdomen region. So it will vary again in the wings. It will have vary in the size, okay, and it might not vary much in the legs, because they will have the 3 pairs of legs. And when you come to the spider, it will have the 4 pairs of legs, that is 8 legs you can see in the spider. If you observe the mouth parts of the mosquito, like they have the ability to pierce into our skin. They'll pierce into our skin, and then they will suck the blood from our body. So that kind of mechanism you can find in the mosquito. And when you come to the wings and all, like they have wings, but their wings are completely different from what the wings we see in the birds wings, and the insects in wings and all, like they are completely different. They have feathers, and these wings doesn't have feathers, okay, and all the insects are completely light in weight, okay. So that is how you can check the differences between the different insects. Like now what you will understand when you do this activity, the basic thing which comes into our mind is like there are variations. Again, there are variations, even though they all belong to even though we have taken all the insects and all, they belong to the insects and all. So they they are insects, there are difference, there are variations, a kind of change in the different organisms. So no organism is similar to the other, except the body parts, except the wings and the legs and all. Apart from that, each and every organism you can see variations and all. So that is how when you come to if you check the insects on your own, then you can come across all these differences, okay. So now we'll go to the activity 6. So now we'll go ahead with the activity number 6. So here what we are going to observe is the variations in the animals. So especially we'll go ahead with the variations in the human beings, okay, because as we are in the class, or you are at home and all, like there will be people around you, isn't it? So what you can do is you can select some 5 to 6 people, okay, 5 or 6 people from your home or from your class and all. So now you make a small table of what are the things you are going to observe in your friends. So what you are going to observe is, the first one is you write the name of the student, okay, and then you write the height of the student, and then you will see the weight of the student. You might have the weighing machines at your school, or even you'll have the weighing machines at your home, or even if you ask them also, they will tell their weight, okay. So that is how you can get their weight also, okay. And next is the length of the 4 fingers. So what you can do is you can take the scale and all, and you can measure the length of the 4 finger and write it. And then what you can take is the thumb impression. So you know what is the thumb, right? Thumb, and you take the impression of the thumb. So that means you have to take a stamp pad and make him get the thumb impression on a paper, right, in the table which you have made. And then what you are going to do is you're going to check his palm, right, and you're going to check his length of the palm and also width of the palm. So now, after writing all these things, like you go to your 5 friends or your 5 family members and all, and collect all this information and just check it out, isn't it? So there will be variation in the heights, okay. If you take in centimeters, definitely there will be variation in the heights. Even your classmates also, there will be variations, okay. Second one is weight, okay. Hardly you can find the students or your friends of the same weight, okay. They will be definitely they will vary, and you can see differences in the weight also, okay. And even if you see the 4 finger also, there will be variations. And thumb impression, no thumb impressions of 2 people are same, and that too even twins also, if you check the twins and all, the thumb impression will not be same. That's the reason why when you go to the Aadhaar card and all, like what you'll do is you'll give the thumb impression, right? So the reason why they are taking the thumb impression, because no 2 people in the whole world have the same thumb impression. So it is absolutely different from the other. And even police also use the thumb impression to know the culprits and all, because all their thumb impression will be stored. So whenever a crime happens, they will check the fingerprints with the fingerprints which they have in their library. So that is how they will easily catch the culprits. So the next is, so, and even if you see the iris also, the iris of two people will never be same, right? That is the reason why the same Aadhaar card, if you go, they will take the photograph of our iris. Iris is a part of our eye, so they will take the iris and also the thumbs. So that is how even if you take these two organisms, like even human beings also, you can see lot of variations. Even though we belong to the same species, even though we belong to the same species called as Homo sapiens, but still we are all different from each other. So there are a lot of variations, lot of differences you can find. Even if you take the twins also, you can find the differences, you can find the variations. So that is how we can see variations in the animals, and especially coming to the human beings. Okay, children, now we'll go ahead with the activity 7. In the activity 7, what we are going to see is name plants. Okay, 2 different name plants, right? So what you have to do here is you have to collect 2 neem plants which are very small in size, okay, which are very small in size, and then make sure that they are very small, okay, that's the first thing. And then you start observing them very carefully, and then what you will do is you will fill the table again. So in the table, what we'll take here is, you will take the name of the plant, that is a neem tree. Second is length of the stem. Third one is number of leaves. Fourth one is size and shape of the leaves. Fifth one is color of the leaves, and sixth one is the margin, and seventh one is the venation. Now we may think that as we are taking the 2 neem plants because they belong to the same species in the sense, right, which have most similarities, right? So for example, we will talk about the genus, species, family, kingdom, phylum and everything in the coming sessions. But for your understanding, let me tell you that all tigers belong to one species, all lions belong to one species, all human beings belong to one species. Okay, like this, each and every organism and their own group mostly belongs to their own species. So in the same way, we are talking about the 2 neem plants because these 2 neem plants also belong to the same species. Okay, so now here we might think that because these 2 plants which we have selected are the neem plants which belong to the same species, they might be same, right? There will be no variations at all. Okay, there will be there are no differences between them. So that will be our mindset. But when you draw this table and check the all these what we have written here on the board, then definitely you will find some kind of differences, right? First one, plant, it will be the same neem plant. Okay, there will be no difference in that, right? So when you observe this one, when you take the 2 neem plants and observe them, and when you start filling the table and all, what you can observe is plant will be same. That is, what is it? It is a neem plant, so there will be no change at all. When you come to the length of the stem, definitely length of the stem will vary. What is the reason behind that? We'll see now. So length of the stem, it may be some 34 centimeters, and other may be some 32 centimeters, maybe 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters. There will be a kind of variation. Okay, and then coming to the number of the leaves. Number of the leaves also will vary. In one plant there will be some 13 leaves, and in other plant there will be some 16 or 17 or 18 leaves. So even the number of leaves also will vary. Coming to the size of the leaf, right? So here, size of the leaf also may also vary, and the shape also, it might not vary because the shape of the neem leaf is usually oblique. Okay, oblique in the sense, see here, these 2 parts, right? Now this is the first part, this is the second part. Now these 2 parts, here this particular part is smaller than this part. Okay, so this is a midrib which it have. Okay, it's a midrib, right? So the 2 sides of the leaf will not be similar. Okay, if that is the case, we call it as the oblique. Okay, we have seen other ones also, but now we can see that this is absolutely oblique in nature because 2 sides, if you take the length of these 2 sides, it will definitely vary. If it is 5 centimeters, it will be only 4 centimeters. So there will be a change on the two sides of the leaf. Okay, that is how we call it as the oblique leaf. So even if you take the two neem plants and all, you will find the same oblique kind of leaf. Okay, and next is now the color. If you see the color of the leaves, it will be definitely green in color. And when you check the margin of the neem plant, okay, that is serrate. That is what we have learned yesterday, right? So that will be serrate. So there will be no difference in that. And now coming to the venation. So already we have seen that it is there are reticulate venation and the parallel venation. So most probably the monocots will show the kind of parallel venation, but whereas when you come to the neem tree, it will have the reticulate venation. So the veins will be present in the random, right? So you will have the reticulate venation. So that is how there are similarities. We agree that there are similarities, but there is a difference here, right? There is a difference here. What is the difference here? The difference is in the number of leaves. The difference is in the length of the stem. That is because of the environmental factors. Maybe that particular plant is not receiving the proper sunlight. Maybe the plant which is there, it's not receiving the proper minerals from the soil. Maybe the soil might not be that suitable for the plant to grow. So there are so many environmental factors which will definitely create some kind of differences in that particular plants, even though they belong to the same species. Okay, children. So this is how we can differentiate the variations in the same plant. So if you observe very carefully, these are the differences which you can find in the neem leaf. So if you really want to see the differences yourself, you can just go and pluck two leaves, okay, two neem plants and all, like you put them beside each other and do all these things. Definitely you will find the differences. Okay, children. So children, till now what we were studying is regarding the variety of organisms, right? Even we have taken the different organisms, we have taken the similar organisms, and we are able to find different variations in them, different you can say differences in them. Okay, so these differences really makes us astonished, surprised that the organisms which are in our surroundings, which in our vicinity, are really these different from each other. So even the mosquito, the housefly, the spider, see what kind of differences we have seen. Even the neem leaves, in neem plants, we have seen the difference, isn't it? Leaves, we have seen the difference. So now we'll come to a small conclusion here. The presence of differences between the organisms of the same species or the organisms which belong to the same species are called as the variations. So what are the differences we called here? We are calling it as variations. So variations are nothing but differences between the characters, differences which are present in between the organisms which belong to the same species. For example, if there are human beings, no two human beings are similar, so we have differences. So that these are called as variations. If you take two dogs, they are different from each other. So what are the differences you find? They are variations. So variations are the basic step, okay, to understand the classification, to understand and to classify the animals and all. So what is required is the variations. So variations between two different species will be definitely greater. For example, if you take a rabbit, okay, and a cockroach, okay, so do you think there will be more differences or less differences here? Definitely more differences, because they belong to this two different species. Now the same way, if you take the rabbit and rabbit, so do you think there will be differences? Yes, there will be differences, but very less. But whereas when you take two different species, definitely variations will be more, isn't it? So now here, as there are different organisms, as there are several organisms around us in our vicinity, so now what we need to do is to know the animals better. Okay, we have classified them. So classification is this scientific study. It's not a simple thing, it's a scientific study of the organisms which are present in the nature with respect to their evolution. So basing on that, we have classified the organisms into different types. So what are those organisms and what are all the organisms which are divided into, what is classification, and who are the scientists who are involved in this process. That is all we are going to see in the next. So that is all we are going to see in the next chapter. So in the next chapter we'll see what is the need of classification and classification evolution and history of classification. So all these topics now, like we'll study in the next session. So until then, take care, see you all, have a nice day.